All right, my friends, we are ready to get things rolling. I wanted to welcome everybody that is on tonight. It is my pleasure to bring exciting topics every single Tuesday to the platform. Not only do we talk about real estate, but we also talk about credit, business topics, marketing topics, anything to better your best version of yourself. I'm your host, Lorie Woodruff, and I wanted to welcome each and every one of you to thanks for tuning in. Tonight's topic is all about senior housing trends, addressing the housing needs of our older adults. Adult care is not just about housing, but also about providing opportunities for socialization and engagement. Today, we're going to explore the latest trends in senior housing and discover how seniors are living their best lives in communities that cater to their unique needs and preferences. I have the pleasure of introducing a co-host with me today, simply because I can't navigate this type of conversation by myself. A few weeks ago, I actually had a conversation with Rhonda Myles, and she was leading me into a little bit more information about her senior care consulting business, and I loved it. It was an instant click. And I said, you got to come on to the show, because it's a definite need in the real estate community where children and aunties and cousins, they need to know, what do we need to do with mom and grandpa, and all of those things need to be taken care of, and we need to know those proper steps. All right, so I wanted to introduce tonight Mrs. Rhonda Myles. She's 25 years in the senior living industry. She considers herself finding her ultimate calling by helping seniors and families as they make one of the most important decisions of their lives. She carefully assesses all of her clients' needs, concerns, and preferences before recommending appropriate levels of care. So before we talk about where we're going and what kind of address we're going to get, we've got to walk through the steps of how it's necessary to get our parents to that new address. And I want to make sure that we're talking about all those levels of care with Mrs. Rhonda Myles. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Thank you, lovely Lorie. I appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience about Care Patrol and what it is that we do. As Lorie stated, my name is Rhonda Myles. I've been in the senior living industry for over 25 years. I have worked for Care Patrol for 3 years. I've been with Care Patrol since 2019. However, I've known about Care Patrol for about 10 years. Okay. I personally worked in a senior living industry, in a senior living environment, and Care Patrol came into my community to place a family member. And that was the first time I actually was able to see a placement agency come in, bring a family into a community. Most places, they send you referrals and they don't walk the family through the steps of what to do next.
Got it.
So I was really intrigued. And fast forward about 7 years, I interacted with the owner at the time, Bonnie Danker, of Care Patrol, covering Howard and Montgomery County. And she reached out to me and she asked me, she said, what are you up to? What have you been doing? And I said to her at the time, because I have such a love for seniors, I actually opened an assisted living in Bowie. And she said, oh, okay. And at the time, she was looking for a senior care advisor to join her team. And I was in the process, because I also have my mom also has dementia, and I was caring for her. And the commute was back and forth, and I said, I have to try to do something different.
Yeah.
So long story short, I actually joined her team in 2019, and I have to say that it was the best decision that I have made.
Yeah.
So much so that Bonnie is in retirement, and my husband and I have taken over the franchise for Howard and Montgomery County.
Beautiful. So Howard and County, you have that on lockdown.
Yes,
You
Howard.
can still help within, let's just say there's a family in Prince George's or DC. What about that?
We have 7 franchises in the DMV.
Okay.
So we have a franchise that franchisee that covers Prince George's County, all franchisees that covers Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County. All the counties are actually covered by other franchisees.
Okay, good.
So we work together. We partner to make sure that our clients' needs are met. And to give you an example of that, just yesterday, I had a client that was in Howard General Hospital, and his mother lived in Anne Arundel County. And he said to me, if we could, find a place in Anne Arundel County, that would be great. And he lived in Prince George's County. So I said to him, I said, well, I do have a colleague that owns a franchise in Anne Arundel County that I can connect you with. And so that's how we share, you can't go into anyone else's territory, but you can make sure that client's needs are met regardless of where they live. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I love about Care Patrol.
Yeah, and that's like real estate agents, same thing. We don't go into too many other people's territory.
Right.
But, at the same time, we want to make sure if we know somebody that's in there, and I'm not licensed in Virginia, for example. So let's just say if I know someone that's in that area, I want to make sure that I'm handing a client off for real estate services in that area. So that was one of the questions I had asked at first from you, because I saw in your signature when I first met you, Howard and Montgomery County. But if you can handle Prince George's County, that was the first call. I had one of my dear friends call me, and he says, "You're the only one I trust. My mom is going through dementia, and we need to do something." And that's kind of how we got where we are today. So
that's awesome.
And you're a breath of fresh air for a lot of people, because it's not something that we want to think about. It's something that has to be attended to prior to something really happening, where it's too late. So definitely preventive is what we're going to talk about tonight. What things we can do right now for our older family members so that we can make sure that we're doing the right thing. So when and if we need to transition them, because it will happen, then we want to make sure that we've done everything necessary so that it's a seamless process. So let's run the time back just a little bit. What got you really 25 years? What were you doing for the last 25 years that you were really in this business?
So I started my career as a caregiver, working for Adventist Healthcare. And I worked with them for about 9 years. I went to school while working as a caregiver, and I also worked as their operations manager. They had an office in Southern Maryland, and they also had an office in Silver Spring. And I was able to work directly with the clinical manager when she would go out and do assessments with clients, and also helped her supervise the field staff. So that's how, I got started in the healthcare industry. And from there, I worked with hospice, and then I got into senior living. And that's where I found my niche. I always tell people, when I was a child, my grandmother, she had 9 children. And I saw how everybody was so busy, and she was bounced around from house to house to house. And I was like, there has to be a better way,
She's a miracle worker.
Yes, exactly. And so that led me to open up the assisted living in Bowie, and it was Annie's House of Peace, because that named after my grandmother, of course. And and then once I got that started, and I I got into the dementia training. I became a certified dementia practitioner because my passion was working with residents that had dementia. And I also was able to work as a memory care manager in an assisted living on the memory care floor. So I was able to see firsthand, a lot of things that my families tell me now that they experienced with their parents, and myself, what I experienced with my own mom.
And what is memory care for those that may not know what memory care is?
It's a cognitive deficit is the best way that I can say that. There is mild cognitive impairment. There's dementia, which, as I explain to people, it's like an ice cream where you have many flavors. Mm-hmm. So there's so many types of dementia, Alzheimer's being the most prominent one. Yeah.
So memory care is for those patients that have more of the Alzheimer's, the memory.
Exactly, memory, and it could start off as there's normal forgetfulness, and then there's dementia or Alzheimer's. Normal forgetfulness is I misplaced my keys. I don't know where they are.
Now. I do that all the time.
Right, exactly, and then
you have memory care.
Exactly, and then you have where it becomes more where they may leave the pan on the stove, or they may wander out of the house and not know how to get back, or like relatives of mine get behind the wheel and get lost and don't know how to get home. And not just my relatives, I experience this on a daily basis with my clients.
Yeah. You are an angel. You are definitely an angel.
Thank you.
So with that, I have actually Lanice is on the line. She's in healthcare as well. So I'm sure you two can connect later.
Absolutely.
And of course, afterwards, you guys, if you have questions, chime in so that you can ask any questions afterwards, because I know that you've got your own situations or questions that you got going on. So Rhonda, tell me, what does a typical day look like? Like, what kind of questions do people ask you when they call you?
So a typical day for us, basically, when I get calls, it's people in a crisis. Mm-hmm. I got a call today, same situation, mom in the hospital, she can't go back home. We need to find a place for her quickly. We have what we call a respite program. It's Respite to the Rescue. Mm-hmm. And with that, we've been able to help discharge patients from the hospital into an assisted living, sometimes within 24 hours, depending on, what the situation is. And we have providers. Thank God for our providers. We have some really dedicated and devoted providers who have been willing to work with us with this respite program for patients that they know that are in a dire need of placement right away. So that typically, that's what happens on a day-to-day basis. We can get a call with someone in a crisis. We can get calls from people that have loved ones in other states and are looking, to bring them closer to them. And that typically could happen within 3 to 6 months. We get calls for people that need realtors, such as yourself. They don't know where to start. So with Care Patrol, we actually guide our families. We tour our families. We take them out. We are much like social workers and realtors. We take them out to the properties so that they can actually see firsthand the providers that we have, what the communities look like. Mm-hmm. And then once we take them out, we know the violation history of our providers. We have copies of our providers' license. Good. So we know our providers where they don't. And that's why people call us, because they really have no clue as to where to start in navigating through the process of senior housing options.
And for me, being licensed for 23 years, I could say probably 5 times have I ever had to even answer a question about this part. And that's bad. In 23 years, I don't know. The only thing I can say is go tour some of the facilities that are in
Right.
the area. But that's so much work on the
Hmm.
kids, to have to do because they don't know what they're looking for. Does that
Exactly.
smell good? I mean, what are we looking for? People in the
Exactly.
hallways? So that's good that you're there to guide them, just like a real estate agent. You're there
Yep.
to guide them through that process.
We
And
pick them up. Sometimes they'll meet us at the properties, but sometimes, of course, we deal with the elderly agents, the elderly population. So some of them don't drive or they don't feel comfortable driving.
right,
And that's where our service comes in.
got it.
We will pick them up from their home. We will take them to the communities. A lot of times I set up 3 or 4 tours a day.
Nice.
I typically tell people I think 3 choices is enough. Any more than that can be overwhelming.
Yep.
And I did 4 tours with a family member this afternoon.
You were like, wrap it
And
up. Pick one, right?
right. And but the thing of it is he's looking in 2 territories. He's looking in Montgomery County, and he was also looking in Prince George's County.
Mhm.
Now he has something to compare.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, he was so impressed with 3 places that he saw today of the 4. So it's going to be a hard decision for this family to make, because we have over 100 residential homes. We work with residential homes, and we also work with the commercial buildings such as the Sunrise Senior Living, Brightview. We have contracts with them as well. But because a lot of our clients, their income, their budget, they can't afford a lot of the commercial properties. So we do a lot of business with our residential homes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And Alicia got a good point. Alicia is one of the top realtors in the Prince George's and DC area. She said, we need you. We definitely need you. So a lot of our stories are very similar on pick a property. We don't need to be looking at 17 different houses. But definitely, Alicia, you will get her information so that it's a great transition with your families, so that she can do what she needs to do and you can do what you need to do. That way you don't have to overstep your boundaries at all.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the 4 different options that there are out there. So I know that there's independent living, there's memory care, there's in-home care, and then there's assisted care. Can you help break those down pretty simply as far as when you're talking and analyzing talking to a family, how you kind of figure out which of these 4 type of living situations would be best for someone?
Right. So when I'm talking to a family, I'm first going to find out what their needs are. And the majority of the time, most of our families need help with assisted living. If they need any type of bathing, dressing, which we consider activities of daily living, if they need assistance with any of that, then I'm going to talk to them about assisted living. If I get a call where someone just wants to downsize, they want to get rid of the big home, but they want to be in a community that has activities, to be able to go on trips, for the socialization piece. Right. I'm going to steer them in the direction of an independent living because they can get those type of services there. Memory care. If I'm speaking with a family member that has a loved one that is continuously exit seeking, trying to find a way out, just not having the executive functionings, being able to continue to pay their bills, they're not able to feed themselves anymore. They have lost all of those functions, then I'm actually going to be looking at a memory care facility for them. Right. Someone that constantly needs to be redirected. I'm going to look at a memory care community for them.
Okay. Got it. I love it.
And then in-home care, well, we get those calls too, because guess what? Mom and dad, they're just not quite ready to move. Yeah, they don't want to give up the home. We've tried to have the conversation with them and they're just not budging. However, we as the children realize that they can't be home alone. We need to get some type of help for them. And they also could have the same needs, needing help with activities of daily living. Needing someone to, do the laundry, do some light housekeeping, but they're just not ready. They're not at the point where they're ready to sell their house or they're ready to move. That's where in-home care comes in.
Got it. And I was taking a look, and thank you for breaking that down, because with that call, you know best kind of how to filter them into which arrangement would be best.
Right.
I had a phone call from one of my very good friends, and I know he's on the line as well, his brother. Mom is in a townhome with 3 levels. And
oh, wow.
she may be going through some parts of dementia, right? But she doesn't want to leave the home. So how do you address that type of situation when they're like, nope, I want to stay here? What do you do in that situation when you know the family's got to take over and start getting to the next level of housing?
Well, a couple of things. And I'm glad that you're touching on this, because like I said, these are real life situations for me every day. So one of the things that I talk to a lot of our families about, especially those that doesn't have a guardianship, or they don't have like a power of attorney in situations like this. I do recommend elder law attorneys when you're thinking of moving mom for safety reasons. We work with the physicians a lot. We put a lot on the physicians. We, ask them if they can talk to their patient about the fact that it's time for them to leave home, because we find that a lot of our residents, they trust their physician, they trust your doctor. And if the doctor says it's time to make a move, then I'm going to listen to what the doctor says. Now, that doesn't always work, but most of the times it does. I mean, because it kind of takes a load off of the family member. I talked to one of my family members today, and he had a care plan meeting for his mom. And he was so afraid that his mom was going to shut him down. When he started talking to her about, Mom, it's time. The time is coming. Right. And what he did, which was really smart, is he included her in the care plan meeting, so she could hear for herself that it's no longer safe for you to be home by yourself. And she heard, and when he had the conversation with her, she said, I understand. And I told him, we have to give them the power, make them feel like the decision is theirs. Yeah. And in those times, you feel that you won't get so much pushback. Yeah. And he said, Rhonda, he said, I was so surprised. He said, because I just knew, and I could tell when I did the initial intake with him, I could tell that he was really, really nervous about this. And he really was so, like, I just don't want her to think that we're pushing her, you know? And when I talked to him today, and he said, it went well. He said, better than expected. So much so that I am going to go to the nursing home to do a one-on-one with her next week.
Good. And I think that's just like in real estate sales as well. A lot of times when it comes to husband and wife having to talk versus me or Alicia or Lester coming in as a real estate agent, we as the third party can make a little bit more sense to break that hesitation.
Exactly.
Your son or your daughter, because they know you so well.
Exactly.
So because the relationship is so tight,
yes,
I guess it is advisable to have you or someone from your team to come in and actually have that meeting, so that it makes sense that the kids aren't just trying to take your house over. Because I think that's what they're thinking is, you're going to take my stuff, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And it, so those are some of the techniques that we use to kind of help our families with their loved ones when it's time to make that decision, because it is a tough decision. And it is a lot to put on, on the adult children. Yeah. And especially when you have adult children live here and the parents are in another state,
Even more.
you know, trying to get them to move. And we deal with that a lot. You know, and it's, you know, I tell you what, for those that have grandchildren, that's a seller too. Bringing you closer to the grandchildren, not so much the children, but we know, you know, how they love the grandchildren. So if you have grandchildren,
that does work. They don't care about us. They just want to be with the grandkids.
Exactly.
Okay,
and that's
different.
And if when you hear, because I get people that call that are looking for independent living. I worked with one family who moved here from Seattle, and they moved to Maryland because of the grandchildren.
Whatever works.
And so now the grandchildren are moving to Australia.
Uh-oh.
And they're like, well, we have lived in Seattle for most of our lives. And can you help us find a place in Seattle that's where my partners in Seattle come into play?
Okay, good.
We have Care Patrol in over 40 states.
I love it.
And we have about 160 we have about 160 franchises.
I love it. So if she can't help you here, we're talking to Rhonda Myles. She is the senior care consultant. So we're talking about Maryland, but of course it reaches outside of that area. So if you're thinking, I've got parents or grandparents that are outside of this area, she's still got you covered. So definitely make sure I'll get you her information. Let's talk about cost. I was doing some research when it comes to cost in Maryland. Now, my grandmother recently transitioned, but before, my dad comes to me and he's like, we've got to get your grandmother from her home in DC, and we got to get her transitioned into an assisted living place. You know, I'm not in front of those kind of costs all the time. So he was sharing with me what kind of costs were out there for the nice places, the places that smell good, the hallways smell good, okay? So I looked it up, and the research I found was Maryland, the average annual cost for assisted living care is $63,000. So how that breaks down is about $5,000 a month, basically, in care for your loved one. In DC, prices spiked up a lot more. It looks like the average is about $83,000 per year. So that looks to be about $69,000 or $7,000 per month for the year. And that does include food and of course, the housing, of course. In Virginia, they're at about $63,000. So they were, neck and neck with Maryland, about $5,000 a month. So when that comes up, how do you then address the family with that? Because in my grandmother's situation, her and granddad bought the house at $12,000, and then that was back in the 50s, 60s,
right?
And then recently sold the house for $450,000. She had money to sell from the sale of her home, but what do you share with families when they hear that price of $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 a month that mom and dad's new place is going to be?
So what I will say, and I'll take this back to our residential homes. Our average placement with Care Patrol is about $4,000 a month. And that's between Montgomery County and Howard County. That's the average.
Okay.
However, we do have, like you said, the commercial properties are a lot more. They start around $6,000 or $7,000, and they can go up to about $16,000, depending on the type of care that you need.
Right.
So when we talk budget, that's in our care discovery that we do. That is one of the things that we do. We have to know a budget, because before we actually take them out to the communities, we want to make sure that that provider is their budget is within what the provider is requesting. So the cost, sometimes it gets, and we do get calls where unfortunately there are some clients that we can't help because the income is definitely, it's below the $4,000 mark. However, if you're willing to look in other territories, such as Baltimore, average placement is about $1,500. I can actually place someone in Baltimore for $1,500, but you have to be, your care level has to be a level 1.
Gotcha.
Where
So you don't
you're
need a whole
really
lot of
able to,
care.
right, where you're able to dress yourself, bathe yourself, feed yourself, you're walking, and we could place, a client in Baltimore for about that amount.
Okay. So when you're
So,
taking a look at their situation, let's just say that parent didn't have real estate and they just have, let's say, $3,000 or $4,000 coming in off of pension or retirement. How do the facilities qualify them for whatever's coming in? Because they're not making any more money. So
right.
how do they qualify the parent?
Well, luckily, with most of the properties that we providers that we have contracts with, they don't ask for proof. Some places, depending if it's a lower income type of place, there's a couple that we work with downtown Silver Spring. They do ask for the award letter from Social Security and a pension letter, just so that they know, what the proof of income is.
Mm-hmm.
So I should say that there are a few places that can take a lower income for about $2,000. But that's for independent living.
Got it.
Okay, for assisted living, it's definitely going to be, your average is going to be about $4,000.
Okay. So they don't need proof. They just want to know, can you pay it or not? Basically.
Right, exactly. There are some places that don't ask for proof, but the places that are more of on a low income, they actually want to verify what the income is. Gotcha. So, like I have, with our providers, we provide pricing information to our clients up front. So they know exactly how much it's going to cost. And that's why I said, that's why it's important to get the budget, because we don't want to take a client out to a community that they can't afford.
Of course. We do the same thing.
Yeah. So
getting a pre-approval letter.
Exactly.
We do the same thing. We're not going to be shuffling anybody around town until we know what is the budget. So on that, the family has, of course, out of pocket that they pay out of their own savings, or if mom or dad had a property to sell, that could be money that's there that can just be debited to take care of the facility.
Exactly. Right? And those are questions that we ask if there's any, the value of their home, whatever assets they may have. Also, if they're a veteran, because there is an aid and attendance program for, surviving spouses. And that's one of the things that we, in our demographic information that we get that information too, so that if their income is on the lower end, then we can actually put them in touch to, our contacts for the aid and attendance program to see if we can get them qualified. And we do have some providers that will actually wait until those funds come in. So what happens with the aid and attendance program is, once the day that you actually apply, once they determine that you are eligible, the day that you apply is the day that it retros back to the very first day that you apply for the benefits. So if you move into a community, you apply for the benefits, they award you the benefits, and what happens is, once the money comes in, if you want it to go directly to an account, it can go into an account, or if you want it to go directly to that community, it can go directly to the community. It's whatever the the recipients wants are, their needs are.
So a veteran does have a little bit, they do have some benefits attached to their military status?
Yes. Okay. If you served one day during wartime, then depending, if one day during wartime, if you have a surviving spouse, your spouse, but the kicker is, you could not have remarried.
Right.
So if if the veteran remarried, then it would actually go to that person.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, those that are married out there, check your status. Check your status because we got to know those kind of things. So, what
and
about couples? You got veterans and you've got couples. Let's say mom and dad are still together, but they're going as a unit to the facilities. How is that? Is difference in cost or procedure? How is that when husband and wife are both going to the facility?
as it pertains to the veterans,
Not so much that, but just
so some communities have what they call a second person fee.
mm-hmm.
So you say, for example, they both are going into an independent living community.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying the rate of that apartment, and then there's maybe a $1,200 second person fee.
Got it. And that covers
Okay.
that
If they're going into an assisted living, some assisted livings do also have that. They have a second person fee.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about a husband and a wife, sometimes, and I experience this a lot, they want to live in separate apartments.
There you go.
They live in the
We've
same
done all this time together.
They live in the same community. They come together for meals, but they don't want to live together.
Go back to your room, Tyrone.
So in a situation like that, you're actually paying rent on 2 apartments, and then if they have a care level, then that's going to be, care levels are usually 1 to 3. So depending on their care level, you're going to pay that on top of the rent rate for the apartment. If they're living together, like I said, there's some communities that do have that second person fee. And if that second person has care needs, then you're going to have to pay for the level care on top of that.
Okay.
So it can be expensive. Like I said, we have some of our communities that if, like, for example, if you need memory care, depending on how much care you need in memory care, you could be paying up to $16,000 a month.
Well, sometimes it might be cheaper to keep her. All right. Instead of getting a divorce at this age, come on. Might as well. You stay down the hall, Margaret, and Tyrone, you stay down this hall. Who knows?
There you go.
If they did their financing, if they did their assets, great over the years. It could be a win-win. It doesn't matter. I mean, what are you saving all this money for anyway?
Yeah.
I did some research on some numbers here, so I like to look at some of the data so people can put everything in perspective. Someone turning 65 today has almost a 70% chance of needing some type of long-term care and support in their remaining years. 65 years old. I'm 47, so I'm like, that's not far away. So almost a 70% chance of needing some type of care, long-term care. Another thing I saw was more than 800,000 Americans currently now reside in assisted living facilities, and half of them are over 85 years old.
Yeah. One of the things, Lorie, that I found is, and my colleagues and I talk about this a lot. A lot of times when people call us for their loved ones, it's usually too late. And that's why we do seminars, we do webinars about when is the right time to move.
Preventive.
And I mean, when you realize that the home is no longer safe. I think I heard you say that there's somebody that has a townhouse, a 3-story townhouse.
Yeah, that's
and elderly people, that's where most falls happen. Going up and down the stairs. Trying to in the bathroom, and if the bathroom hasn't been, if it's not handicap accessible, then you have an issue there because they're trying to, get up, and then they end up falling over.
Nobody's there.
So I mean, so when is the right time? When you visit and you go and you see that things are just hoarders. That's a big one. Hoarding.
And that is part of some of the situation of what I was sharing with you. She is hoarding, and she's got early stages of dementia. So now is the time, and I may have to, kind of get involved with that as well. and you as well to maybe come over to make that
Absolutely.
change sooner than later. We don't want anything
Absolutely.
happening to her, and days or weeks later is
Hmm.
discovered something different. So definitely now is the time.
Yeah.
Last thing I was doing was I was taking a look at some numbers, which this part makes me upset because even though I sell real estate, I can't control the pricing of housing.
Hmm.
And this is not something that's just been brand new, but I'm taking a look at three different communities, Rhonda, throughout the area. So I'm looking at the average pricing for homes that are the 55 and over community. All right. So this is before we get to assisted living, but I'm just taking a look at the over 55 communities.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at one in Two Rivers in Odenton. Odenton is in Anne Arundel County, and it's a huge planned development, and they've got a section in there. Those homes for the over 55 are $500,000 to $700,000 average. I mean, that's someone 55 or 60 years old just buying a home right now is that
Hmm.
price. And you're nearing retirement age, of course.
Right. Right.
I looked at Leisure World in Silver Spring, which is a huge community as well. Their pricing range is big time. They've got apartments, condos, townhomes,
Yes.
and they've got single families. Anywhere a little bit under 100,000, over $800,000. Like, where's this money coming from?
Right.
Right? And then the last community I looked at in Columbia is Snowden Overlook. Pretty big community, $300,000 to $600,000 is the average price there. So when I look at that, when you take a look at real estate pricing for someone just in that age bracket, like how do you how do you even feel just walking into someone paying almost $500,000 at 60 or 50 years old?
You know, I mean that's a lot. I think at that age, you really should be looking to downsize
Mm-hmm.
and not, because that's, and
Yeah.
I can even speak for myself because as you were talking about those 55 and over communities, I live in a 55 and over and over
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I look at my husband and and I really, I really wish I had gotten something a little smaller, and I maybe we didn't because of the grandchildren and what the community has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I will say to that is, our clients, when they come, they're looking to transition from their homes into something smaller.
Exactly.
I rarely do I get a call where someone is looking to, and we have continuing retirement communities, and I'll use those for an example because they have a buy-in fee, and that buy-in fee is about, it can be anywhere from $300,000 to $200,000 that they have to put down,
What?
and then they're paying, yes, and then they're paying $4,000 for a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment.
Why? That makes no sense. It makes no
It's
sense.
the amenities, the
Yeah.
amenities that they offer. And not just that, some people would prefer to move into a continuing retirement community because they offer, it's a one-stop, I say a one-stop shop. You have your assisted living, you have your independent living, you have your memory care, and you have the skilled nursing facility all on one campus.
I got you.
And that is huge for a lot of people. For them, they're looking at, well, I won't have to move again
Mm-hmm.
if you can afford it.
If you can
But
afford it, get you
you
somewhere
look
there.
at now, there's not the type of calls that we get. There's not too many of our clients that can afford to live in a continuing retirement community.
Right.
Now, most of the calls that I get for that are people that want to relocate from Florida and they want to move back here because they have that type of living situation in
Yeah.
Florida.
But that's not the case with everyone.
No, it's not. The Marylanders, people that actually live here, they're really, to be honest with you, they're really getting by.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients are, some people just didn't plan well.
Yeah.
I hear that from a lot of the children. We have children that have to help supplement
Mm-hmm.
their parents' income.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just, what else is there to do? There are subsidy programs, but the subsidy programs in each county I think Montgomery County is up to $1,050.
Okay.
Howard County is maybe around 650 or so, and Prince George's County, I believe, is the same.
Okay.
So if you have a person that, like I talked to someone yesterday, the income was like $1,600
Total.
total.
Total. Okay.
No, and they're like, well, and the son's, well, I'll have to pitch in, I'll have to help.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have some very gracious providers
Okay.
that for them, it's not always about the money.
Right.
They look at the situation and they look at the client,
Yeah.
and some of them are willing to accept, what the clients have.
Right.
So, I'm very grateful for that, because like I said, the money it's not always there.
It's not always there for folks in our age bracket right
Exactly.
now. So we definitely can't play around and wait until we can get any better. Talking to my dad, he lives in Leisure World. My dad actually and his wife live in Leisure World now.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually rent a place there.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them, they've got assets. It's not a problem of that. They've got the assets together.
Mm-hmm.
But he was thinking, let me move to Delaware, and I was like, so let me go and take a look and see what's in Delaware that's capturing your eye for retirement. Mm-hmm. And he started looking, and I wanted them to come to the conclusion. Those houses, Rhonda, were the same prices as here. $500,000, $600,000. And I said, for you being 71 years old, why would you do that to yourself? And I said, take that money and just Airbnb around the world. Just travel till you can't travel no more. And it was, thank God it was something that he and his wife decided, that we don't need to put all our money into a big house just because there's no taxes there. It's stupid. So in some cases, you just have to take a look with a financial planner on what's going to be the best way for us to transition to the next part anyway.
Right.
Everyone's situation, you can talk with them if they can apply for whatever is needed through the state. Whatever subsidy, I'm sure you can speak with the families about what may be available for them.
Exactly.
On their situation. So I know you got that covered.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to make sure we cover before we wrap things up is, what if a family doesn't have a will or a trust in place and dementia sets in and they have a property? What do you do in that type of situation when mom, auntie, or someone like that they don't even know who's in front of them right now, but they have a property that has to be sold? What then?
I am referring the family to an elder law attorney to help them work through the process. Usually in situations like that, you have someone who is who's kind of taking the reins, and they have to get guardianship.
Yes.
And so that's where, the elder law attorney comes into play to help with that. And in some situations where you have someone that is incapacitated and they're in the hospital and these decisions have to be made, or they're in a skilled nursing facility, they can actually, in the facility, they can actually make that person a temporary guardian to take care of certain type of business, because if you don't have the Medicare or the right type of insurance and your days have run out, but you have nowhere to go, at some point you're going to start paying privately for that. So they're going to need somebody to handle their finances, their financial affairs. And I see it all the time. I see it where, Adult Protective Services gets involved. Adult Protective Service will take over, and they will appoint somebody guardian over that individual to get the household. I've had situations like that too. I've had situations where we worked with a company called Market Pro, and I know you've probably heard of them, where, the house needed to be sold right away for the individual to move into a place so they could be cared for. So we've used them as a reference. We use elder law attorneys, financial planners to kind of, help. Yeah. So
Good. So is there a difference? Because I know if I've sold a property before, I would get either, well, most of the time, if there's another party involved, I see a power of attorney that can
Right.
sign on behalf of mom or dad.
Mm-hmm.
Guardianship, a different document,
Yes. Guardianship is a different document.
and that
It's
can allow
different.
them
It
to
is
sell
a
the
different
property.
document than the guardianship is usually court appointed.
Mm-hmm.
And or either, like I said, you're working with the elder law attorney, but it's still going to go through the courts.
Okay.
Financial power of attorney, you can, I mean, a lawyer can actually draw it up and, you know, you can sign on, but now you can go to Office Depot
Mm-hmm.
and get power of attorney paperwork and just, you know, take it and get it notarized.
Sure.
So the documents are definitely different.
Good. Okay. Well, we got a lot to learn. I want to open it up for questions because I'm sure I'm not the only one that has questions. Matt, Robin, did you all have any specific questions? Arvis, Paula's on the line. Hey, Paula, what's going on? I wanted to see if there's anybody that had any specific questions for Rhonda while you have her. This was good.
Hello, Rhonda. This is Robin. Hi, Lorie.
Hi, Robin. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Question: what is the difference between conservatorship and guardianship? Do you
Okay.
know?
Well, no, and I will definitely say that I don't, but you know, I will also say that I will find out for you. I have a very good elder law attorney that I work with on a consistent basis, so I can actually find out. I can find that out for you. So conservatorship
Versus guardianship.
versus guardianship.
Where did you
Okay.
hear
And what I will do is I will get your information, Robin, and your email address. If you put that in the chat,
Okay.
I can get that, and then I can send you that information.
Yeah, Robin,
Okay.
you have her number, so make sure you give her a call
Yes.
ASAP.
I will definitely. Betsy will be happy to hear from me and answer those questions for me. That's why it's always good to have resources, and I am the first to tell you if I don't know something, I will find out for you.
Yeah. So if someone, let's just say, does have dementia right now and they do sign the power of attorney, could Robin sell her place with that?
Well, I've had it happen. Let me just say that because
Okay.
it's hard to, yeah, I've had that happen where the individual did sign over paperwork. As a matter of fact, she's currently in an assisted living. Her son had power of attorney papers, but when she signed those papers, it was in the beginning of her disease. So I called Betsy, my good friend, and I talked to her about it, and she thought that you know those papers now. She don't think that they would stand. They would have a leg to stand on now. But back then he was able to do things, you know, because she signed it.
Right.
You know. So I've had that happen a couple of times, and then I've had actually in my own facility. I've had that happen, and the family member was in North Carolina and the son lived in New Jersey, and he had to actually come to Maryland and get a restraining order against the one sibling that was trying to get the father to, sign away some. So it can get a little crazy.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
the one, let's just say in the case, well, Robin has power of attorney over her aunt.
Mm-hmm.
The aunt never has to show up for settlement.
No.
Right?
No.
How
Now that
how
I
in that
do
case
know.
was it determined that her progress was getting worse? That paper was null and void, basically. How did it come up?
You talking to Robin or me?
You.
Oh, what was the question?
How did it come up where that paper was not null, well, it's almost null and void if you're thinking her memory got worse.
Right.
From signing the paper.
So when the son came to the facility where she was, and he was trying to literally he was trying to take her back to Atlanta.
Oh,
And this was somebody that I had actually placed. She was a recipient of the Medicaid waiver program. And it took a lot to get her, situated with that program. And once she was awarded, we
yeah,
had to find a place for her to go. So it was like, you can't come and undo all that hard work and all that process.
got it.
And then when you think about it, does this person really know you?
Right. I know.
You know?
It's a little dicey, but
Yeah.
I would say start there. If you know that your parent is getting that close, get power of attorney. There's no expiration date on that power of attorney.
No, it's not.
Okay.
There's no
You can have
expiration
that
date.
just to make sure that you're covering. I got to get to the bank, or I got to, just
Right.
doctor calls. Even if you want to talk to or get medical records, that power of attorney will at least help you get through, so you can get these things done while they're still
Yeah.
living, right?
Yeah. And a lot of people, they wait till the fifth hour to do these things, or when it's too late, like you said, and they're scrambling to, to get these. And then, and I'll use my own father as an example. He said this to me just yesterday. He said, if something was to happen to your grandmother, I don't know where, because she's so private.
Private, yes.
She's so private. And he's like, I don't know where I would find anything. And she says, oh, well, you're the one that's going to take care of it. He's, well, what am I going to take care of?
A lot in that house.
You're not telling me anything.
It's a lot, yeah. Handle it now. So
Exactly.
what are some things that people can do now to just start the preventative piece? Since we all have parents that are over 60 and 70 at this point, what can we start doing now to start getting in preparation?
Having the conversation, sitting down with them, going over their finances, having the conversations. If they have a home and the home still has a mortgage, find out how much they owe on the home.
Right.
Find out what current bills they have, who their creditors are.
Yeah.
What type of insurance they have, how much money they have in the bank. These are things that, especially when that things can happen at any time. And when I talk about our clients, I definitely don't want to walk away tonight with you guys thinking that all of our clients are 80 and 90 years old. We get clients in their early 60s that have, just wasted their life away with drinking, or, just depression, mental illness, all types of things. And they're young. I mean, and they've worked all their life, they've retired, and they have a home, but then the children, I don't know how much they owe on the home.
Right.
Mom doesn't tell me anything.
I don't know.
Start the conversations early.
Got it. Make it.
And I'm 51, and we talk to our children, let them know what's going on with us health-wise. One of the biggest things is seniors, they're so private, and the children are always the last to know. If something is going on in the home, they, most of the times they try to hide it. If they have some type of mild cognitive impairment, you may not know for a year or so because they've hidden it so well. They present so well.
Yeah, you're right.
And, so those conversations, I definitely say have them sooner rather than later. Okay. Now is the time.
All right, Robin, I'm going with you to Silver Spring. So just let me know when we ride, and so we can do it together. Okay.
All right.
Did you have any other questions for her?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Conservatorship versus guardianship. Okay. I will be sending Betsy that message, and I'll get that information over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Matt or Rick, did you all have a question?
Just have a brief question. Good to see you, talk to you. It's been a while. But can I get Rhonda's contact information? I guess is that available question one, and then two, I was able to join kind of at the latter part of this meeting. So is this something I can review at a later time, or is there a link to that? How does that work?
Yeah, I have the recording. It'll go out tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow, or you can go back on my Instagram. It'll be live. So
Thank you.
you can, gotcha.
I also wanted to share with you all, I don't know how many health professionals, social workers, or nurses or administrators that are on, but we offer free CEUs quarterly, and we just did one actually last Thursday. So I believe the next one will be in May. That information I will share it with Lorie. She can share it with you guys. If you know, I will provide my phone number and my email address tonight. You can email me. We have a education series, Living Your Best Life, that's actually starting March 30th, which is next Thursday.
Okay.
And it's from 12 to 1.
Yes. So
and in that series, we are going to be talking about safety tips for people that are living at home. Mm-hmm. We have Dr. Simmons, who is a prominent doctor in Montgomery County. He works in the MedStar system. He will be joining us with a topic. We also have the Parkinson's Foundation that will be joining us, and we're also looking at the Office on Aging in Howard County to join us in, I believe it's November, to talk about caregivers. We're going to do this is all about caregiving and taking care for those that take care of seniors, that provide senior care. And it's also for providers. You know, our providers, we want them to know that there are different techniques and things that they can use to make sure that the residents are safe while they're in their care. So I will definitely share my information, and I will share the flyers, as you know, I shared with Lorie, for those that would like to be a part of that education series.
I see the link here. Do you want me to just pass this link?
Sure.
All right, so the phone number, which number would you like me to give out to everyone? The 410 or 836?
836.
All right, everyone, ready for the number? And I'll drop it in the chat as well. To get in touch with Rhonda Myles, you're at 301-836-2605. 2605, 836-2605. Is there a website that they can go to?
Sure. Our website is www.hocomoco.
Spell it for me.
Hoco, HOCO, Moco, MOCO at carepatrol.com.
At carepatrol.com?
Mm-hmm.
I'll put all that. Care Patrol. I like that.
And then my email address is rmiles, that's Miles with a Y, at carepatrol.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Lanice, you
Yes.
have a question while I'm putting all this in the chat box. You guys go for it. Lanice is a healthcare provider. She's a caregiver.
Yes.
Hello, Lanice. How are you?
I am doing well, Miss Rhonda. Thank you for all this great information.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so many of us are in this season, right? Mm-hmm. So my question to you is the dementia training. Where did you do that? Was it online? Was it in person? Like, where exactly did you get that done?
So I did the training through the company is in New Jersey, and they actually, it's a certified dementia practitioner training. Mm-hmm. I can actually send you that information, or if you email me, I will send the information to you.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't have to use the organization in New Jersey, Lanice. there are several people here in Maryland that, as a matter of fact, my old supervisor, she's a trainer.
So am I.
Oh, are you?
Well, I'm a trainer for medication administration.
Okay,
So,
she's a trainer for the Certified Dementia Practitioner Program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and there's several of them. So I can find you someone local. You don't have to go through New Jersey, but that's where the certificates come from. But
Yes.
I can put you in touch with someone local.
That would be awesome. I'm in the Virginia area.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Where in Virginia are you?
I'm in Richmond.
Okay, you're in Richmond. Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
Not too far.
Yep. We can put you in touch with stuff. And now they're doing a lot of things virtual.
Yes.
So,
And like Lorie said, I am currently a care giver. So I'm here 24/7. So usually anything.
So you definitely need to take advantage of the education series next Thursday.
Yes.
Living your best life. That first series is going to be about, safety in the home. So I think, I think you should take advantage of that. So we want to make sure that we get that to you, because it sounds like you're a live-in caregiver.
Not quite. My son and I, we share the responsibility. I'm here during the day. He's here at night. So, but it's definitely a tag team event.
Well, you know what? That's what we have to do as family, to make sure our loved ones are taken care of. I applaud you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I thank you for all the work that you're doing as well. So
thank you. It's an honor. It really is an honor. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I can tell. Both of you have servant hearts. I can tell. I can tell. Well, awesome. I'll put information in the chat box for not only just her phone number, her email address, and the website. I also put the webinar information so you can register for that. Make sure that you copy down that webinar link so that you can get access to it. It's a free webinar, so just start getting information as much as you can to begin that journey. And Matt, like I said, anybody who's listening now, of course, if you didn't get everything at the top, we started heavy and we're ending heavy. So we've got a lot of great information that I don't want you to miss out on. The replay will come out tomorrow afternoon, and you can just kind of browse through there. But just understand, Matt, Rick, Robin, I'm here locally. So all you have to do, and I'm glad you raised your hand to reach out to me, let's go. Let's get in the car and go. Okay, that's all I gotta say. That's family. That's not a stranger. So let's get it taken care of. All right.
And for anybody that just wasn't on before, we pride ourselves on being able to take our clients, out, and especially the elderly, because driving is just become, they're terrified to drive now. And so if it's a family member that we need to transport, we pick them up, and we take them. One of the things that I wanted to say, Lorie, about Leisure World, where your father is, which is, we place a lot of people in Leisure World. And the one thing I like about Leisure World is that they do have social workers.
They have a lot there.
They have a lot of services. The doctors are there, the social workers. We work with the social workers in placing some of their clients that need to leave Leisure World and go to an assisted living. So we have a really great relationship with them.
Good. I feel better with the process now. I've talked to you. Paula Amaker, I just want to thank her because she made all this happen. I reached out to her because I knew that she started out in the healthcare industry first, and now she's a full-time real estate agent with Keller Williams. So I went and I spoke with her, and she gave me your information. So thank you.
Paula is a gem. Love you, Paula.
Thank you for making this happen, because I like to meet great people in the community. It's not just about buying and selling.
I love you ladies very much. I had to put you both together. You know, Lorie, you and I have known each other over 20 years. I met up with Rhonda at one of the networking events, and she was everything that I needed as a real estate agent serving seniors. She is my one-stop shop. So anything that I need to know, I'm going to reach out to her. I want to use her as my reference because the information that we're sharing with our clients and other individuals, we want to make sure that they're getting accurate and complete information. And that is exactly what Rhonda brings to the table. So of course, Lorie, with your goals, and you are just so amazing. I had to make sure that I put you with someone that was going to give you accurate information, and she did not fail. She did not fail. She came with it. She gave us a lot of information. And Rhonda, I'm here. I'm here for it all. And we will be talking again. So thank you, Lorie, for putting this on. It is very much needed.
Good. Yeah. And I just want to say, thank you as I'm stepping into the newness of podcast and being able to have a voice and talk about what we do with passion. People work in jobs every day, but do they really enjoy what it is that they do? And I have to say that, I absolutely enjoy waking up in the morning and talking to that person that's going to need the services that we provide. So I really appreciate this opportunity. And you also have a servant heart. I can see that.
Thank you.
So,
we're going to get tomorrow.
There you go.
I got questionnaires. I got a questionnaire, and I had somebody fill it out just to kind of get basic information. And she basically said, "I'm homeless. Help me find a place to live."
Yeah.
I just looked in the air, and I'm like, that's just a Tuesday conversation, all right? Another person wrote on their questionnaire, "I need you to work miracles around my credit." So no matter what it is, whatever that you do, you're going to be led to the right person. That's going to give you the answers. You just need to be calm and just ask God, who am I supposed to be connected to?
Right.
And you'll get led to the right person. I don't,
Absolutely.
And it's just not just about real estate. It's just any and everything that we do. Just make sure that you're asking God permission. What am I supposed to be doing? Lead me to the right person, because this is a very sensitive situation, of course, and you don't want your parents or your grandparents in a situation where you're going to regret it later. All right. So
that's right.
I know Rhonda's going to make sure that you get all the great information. Reach out to her, even if you don't need her right now. Please reach out to her now to get preventative information for someone that you know, or at least connect the dots to someone that you do know. You know someone that definitely has someone 65 or older. You're 65 and older and needs this conversation. So I thank you very much. In the next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
Well, as I said to you earlier, we have just, the baton has been passed to us with Care Patrol. So in the next 5 years, I will still be with Care Patrol.
All right. It's like a job interview. All right, you passed the test. You got the job. You got the job. Well, thank you so much for blessing everybody. I will make sure that everybody gets this information. I thank you. Keep doing exactly what you're doing and serving the community with what you're doing, not leading with money first, but just leading with the mission that has to be taken care of. So I want to thank everybody that's joined in everywhere online, and I'll see you guys next week for another amazing topic. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night. Thank you.